In the top stories, police need your help to find a missing man. Sputnik second doses expected within 2 months in Guyana, and concerns rise in Chile over the efficacy of Chinese-developed vaccine. Hello and welcome to the ZIZ Midday Newscast. Today is Friday, the 25th of June, 2021. I'm Jason Davis. Nationally, police need your help in locating a missing man, Purcell Hope, also known as Peter James, of Cont Street in Newtown. Peter James is 68 years of age with black and gray hair and dark brown eyes. He has a slim body and is 5 feet 5 inches tall. Purcell Hope, alias Peter James, was last seen in Stapleton on Saturday, June 19 at about 7 p.m. wearing a black tam on his head, a brown shirt, green pants and no shoes. If anyone has any information with regards to the whereabouts of Purcell Hope, you're asked to contact the Basse-Terre Police Station at 465-2241, the nearest police station, or you can call the crime hotline at 707. Chief Medical Officer Dr. Hazel Laws has confirmed that the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccines received from SK Bioscience, a South Korean-based facility, are approved by the World Health Organization. Dr. Laws made her statement on June 23 at the National Emergency Operations Center COVID-19 briefing in response to a question asking whether the Federation had received vaccines from the SK Bioscience company and whether they were approved vaccines.
Both are approved by the World Health Organization, and so the AstraZeneca Oxford vaccine produced by the Serum Institute of India has been approved by the World Health Organization, and so is the AstraZeneca Oxford vaccine produced by SK Bioscience, South Korea.
She said these vaccines were received through the Federation's participation in the COVAX facility.
The batch we received from SK Bioscience South Korea was actually accessed through the COVAX facility, which is the global facility through which countries, territories can access COVID-19 vaccines. So it was sent through us through the most official route. And so, yes, both batches of vaccine have been officially approved by the World Health Organization.
SK Bioscience also has a license agreement with Novavax to produce 40 million COVID-19 vaccine doses for South Korea, as well as a contract development and manufacturing deal for global supply. SK Bioscience announced on May 17 that its facilities, processes and quality systems in Andong, Korea, used for the production of AstraZeneca and Novavax COVAX-19 vaccines, have received EU Good Manufacturing Practice certification from the European Medicines Agency, or EMA, which allows SK Bioscience to export vaccines to the European markets. Meanwhile, in St. Kitts Nevis, the traffic department is appealing to vendors to remove portions of their stalls that they've left in Basse-Terre before the partial curfew and essential movement only edict was given by the government. In a notice issued on Thursday, the department said, quote, "The traffic department is appealing to individuals to kindly remove their tents, tables and associated items that were left behind on the sidewalks and streets of Basse-Terre. The deadline to remove these items is Friday, July 9. Failure to do so would result in these items being confiscated." Relatedly, the department as well as the Public Works Department are appealing to vehicle owners to discontinue parking their vehicles in front of Shoreline Plaza. This is to mitigate potential conflicts in relation to the traffic lights along the Bay Road. We now move to news on the regional scene. Guyana's Health Minister, Dr. Frank Anthony, is urging recipients of the first doses of the Sputnik vaccine to be patient, assuring that supplies of the second shots will be in the country soon. Tamika Rodney of HGP News tells us more.
Persons who would have taken first doses of the Sputnik vaccine within the last several weeks can rest assured that batches of the second dose will arrive before the recommended time interval between shots of 12 weeks. This assurance was given by Health Minister Dr. Frank Anthony during Wednesday's COVID-19 update.
you have between 4 weeks to 12 weeks to get your second dose. We have not exceeded that 12 weeks yet. And we are working very hard to make sure that we get those second doses in before that 12 weeks expire. People out there can rest assured that they will get their second dose vaccine within that time frame.
The vaccines, which have been delayed for approximately a month, came under scrutiny last week by opposition leader Joseph Harman, who contended that they were fake and were not being sourced from the Russian government. The delay in the shipment, according to Dr. Anthony, could be linked to a new spike in COVID-19 cases in parts of Russia. Further, Trinidad's Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley, during a recent press briefing, highlighted that Guyana initially accepted COVID-19 vaccines which were not approved by the World Health Organization. He made that point to show that the country's decision to vaccinate its populace with unapproved vaccines in February of this year aided in Guyana attaining the highest vaccination coverage in the Caribbean to date. Harman later asked the health minister to provide details surrounding the vaccine purchases, including the batch numbers. In a letter sent to the press by the ministry, the Russian Direct Investment Fund confirmed the authenticity of a number of vaccine shipments by detailing the batch numbers. 305,537 doses of the Sputnik vaccine have entered Guyana since its first shipment on April 2nd. Dr. Anthony explained that from the first order of 400,000 doses of the vaccine, Guyana has received 200,000 first doses and a short supply of second doses. A second order of 86,000 doses of the Russian-made vaccines have also been made.
We have received to date 61,000 of those second dose. So we have approximately 139,000 second dose remaining from that first order.
To date, 229,053 persons have been partially immunized, while those who are fully vaccinated amount to 101,246. Tamika Rodney reporting for the HGP Nightly News.
Some cruise lines will now accept unvaccinated travelers. While the outlook for the tourism industry in Antigua and Barbuda remains optimistic, these recent developments have exposed the need for changing arrangements. ABS's Ursel Charles Jr. takes a closer look at the latest, particularly for those who work in the industry.
If COVID-19 has taught one lesson, it's that nothing is certain. The fickle travel and the tourism industry has recently seen fully vaccinated excursionists to Barbados contract COVID-19 and Royal Caribbean cancel home porting arrangements with Bermuda. Initially, officials resolved to insist only vaccinated cruise passengers would be allowed in this country. However, in light of the recent revelation, unvaccinated cruise passengers may be allowed to board in Florida, Information Minister the Honourable Melford Nicholas argues negotiation going forward would be vital. He says Tourism Minister the Honourable Charles Fernandez is currently meeting with officials from the Florida Caribbean Cruise Association, and the set protocols may need to be attuned.
But we may have to adjust the protocols in terms of dealing with those persons who are on the ships, and depending on the percentages that we're anticipating, we may have to do something else. But we were going to do that in consultation with the trade.
Nicholas says even with vaccinated cruise passengers and lowered risks of COVID-19 transmission, it is still the government's hope that workers in the industry get vaccinated.
There are risks involved in the trade. And so what we're saying to all our stakeholders, the artness of trading with this industry, with the risk involved, the better for themselves, the better for our society, is for vaccination to be the bulwark, the front line of our defense.
But will this be mandatory?
I'd like to reiterate the government's position. There is going to be no mandate for vaccines.
For ABS News, I'm Ursel Charles Jr.
Chile has largely used Chinese-developed COVID-19 vaccines to ensure one of the highest vaccination rates in the world. But a recent surge of infections is causing concern that the jabs developed by China's Sinovac biotech are not as effective against some strains of the virus. Al Jazeera's Latin America editor Lucia Newman reports.
At this Santiago inoculation center, Luis Salinas takes his daughters to be vaccinated. But when they're told that the only vaccine available is CoronaVac, they change their mind.
Infections keep spreading. Hospitals are full. This vaccine is not what they promised. We want the vaccine they have in Europe and the US, where cases are dropping.
With that, they leave, like many others who came here to ask if the Pfizer vaccine was available. Chile became the envy of the region in January when it was able to purchase millions of doses of CoronaVac made by China's Sinovac laboratory. 65% of the target population has now been fully vaccinated, one of the highest rates globally. Yet unlike in the US, where infections dropped with inoculations, here they remain dangerously high. Epidemiologist Sandra Cortés concedes CoronaVac is not the silver bullet it was made out to be.
A large number of the population is inoculated with a vaccine that's not the most efficient to prevent transmission or prevent infection, but rather to reduce the number of deaths from COVID-19.
Data just out indicates that 37% of Chileans who are currently in critical care units were fully vaccinated. In recent weeks, elderly patients in ICUs have jumped from 10 to 15%. And to make matters worse, the health ministry has confirmed a case of the first person to enter Chile from the US infected with the Delta variant. Borders will remain closed for at least another 3 weeks.
We know that this variant is extremely contagious, so we have to be very much on alert to determine how to proceed.
On the upside, experts insist the Sinovac vaccine has significantly reduced mortality, is widely available here, and has little or no side effects. Professor Susan Bueno says the key is to vaccinate everyone.
We can have a very high quality, high effective vaccine, but this vaccine is not available to the whole population. It's not going to work either.
And with only a very limited number of Pfizer, Moderna, or AstraZeneca vaccines available, the consensus is that any of the WHO-approved vaccines, like Sinovac, is better than none. Lucia Newman, Al Jazeera, Santiago.
Russia has warned it will target foreign warships that test its territorial claims in waters off Crimea. It follows a tense confrontation in the Black Sea on Wednesday. The Kremlin says it fired warning shots at a British warship that entered its waters. The United Kingdom insists it was acting legally. Al Jazeera's Jonah Hull reports.
The UK's ambassador to Russia arriving at the Foreign Ministry in Moscow for a diplomatic dressing down. The activities of a British Royal Navy destroyer in the Black Sea on Wednesday had been provocative and dangerous, the ambassador was told. If repeated, Britain would be held fully responsible for the consequences. These are Russian pictures showing, Russia says, HMS Defender straying into Russian waters off Crimea while on manoeuvres in the Black Sea.
If you cross the borderline, I'll be fire. If you don't change the course, I'll be fire. Do you read me? Over.
That warning from the Russian Coast Guard, recorded by media aboard HMS Defender, was followed, says Russia, by shots fired and bombs dropped into the destroyer's path.
Aircraft visual, green 150, tracking right, altitude low.
It's an account entirely disputed by the UK side. Predictably inaccurate was how Foreign Secretary Dominic Raab described it, saying no shots had been fired at the Royal Navy vessel. Britain says a Russian naval exercise was underway nearby at the time, and the Prime Minister denied HMS Defender had ever entered Russian waters.
We don't recognise the Russian annexation of Crimea. It was illegal. These are Ukrainian waters, and it was entirely right to use them to go from A to B.
That's something Russia will not concede.
Let's say this. In the event of a repeat of this unacceptable provocative action, if those actions go too far, no option can be ruled out to legally defend Russia's borders.
Heated and potentially dangerous rhetoric between the two sides, differing accounts tailored perhaps for a domestic audience. It's not the Cold War, as Boris Johnson was quick to point out, but relations are pretty icy all the same. Jonah Hull, Al Jazeera.
And now for the weather. Present weather is partly cloudy. Winds are a moderate breeze of 15 miles per hour from the east-northeast. The temperature is 30 degrees Celsius or 86 degrees Fahrenheit. Seas are moderate with waves of 3 to 5 feet. A westward-moving tropical wave will heighten chances of showers over the islands. The weather forecast for St. Kitts and Nevis today predicts variably cloudy with occasional brief afternoon showers, and for tonight, partly cloudy to cloudy skies with a 60% or moderate chance of evening showers, with the chances of showers decreasing as the night progresses. Sunset today will be at 6:48 p.m., sunrise tomorrow at 5:39 a.m. And that brings us to the end of the ZIZ Midday Newscast. Join us this evening for these stories and more in detail. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Jason Davis.